Thomas, welcome back.
Oh,
Thanks for
thank
joining
you.
me today.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's great to be doing another one of these. It's been a couple months since we've been underway. Since last month got unceremoniously stifled. Pressure from the man. That's what I say. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your work has just been getting in the way of all the good stuff lately.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Well, let's jump into it. There's a lot to cover. I'm sure there's been a lot happening over the last couple months. We can't go away from this for too long without just major announcements. So we'll jump into things.
Exactly. I'm glad I did all my write-ups before I left on vacation, because I would have hated to have to come back and think, oh my gosh, I got to put this together.
That's right. Well, for those that are new to this little event here, my name is Christian Buckley. I'm the founder and CEO of CollabTalk. I'm based in Lehi, Utah, so south of Salt Lake, and but I work with ISVs, so independent software vendors in the Microsoft ecosystem, and I'm passionate about productivity, and that's how Tom and I kind of got started in this, 3 years ago, 3.5,
Something like that, yeah.
This is our 20th recording, 20th webinar on this series. And also a Microsoft MVP and regional director, and that's me, Tomas.
And I'm a software engineer. I think that's the latest title I have. Canby Health Solutions.
Title says, yeah.
Titles, who cares? At Canby Health Solutions, which is a insurance entity in the Pacific Northwest. And I'm not an MVP. I'm not a vendor. I'm not selling you anything. I'm just a regular person working with Office 365 and SharePoint, and kind of got into the whole productivity tips thing. And Christian and I hooked up on these particular formatted webcasts and a few live appearances, and we've had a really good time doing them.
Well, excellent. And as we always like to do, we do have voting at each stage of this. We'll try to move through very quickly here, but just where we are in the latest status. So right now, Tom is dominating. So, well, I was dominating is not the right word.
Harsh. That's really harsh.
It's back and forth. So, but Tom is on the leaderboards. You see this 19 events done, and how balanced it has been. It's been back and forth. So Tom's got the two top stats there, and then we're tied for overall votes. That's crazy to me that we're at exactly the same number of votes over 19 events.
Yeah, what's more crazy to me is you didn't go with any of the fake stats of, like,
oh yeah,
most votes in one round type thing. Yeah,
that's right. Most liked. That's not based in Minnesota.
Whatever works,
I know. Yeah. Well, here's how we run these things. So we have for the boxing theme for a reason here. So we're going to go 5 rounds where each of us is going to share a productivity tip. We don't know what the other person will share. So it could be apples to apples, apples to oranges in most cases. In fact, I think only like once or twice where we've ever had the same.
I think each of us have had one. I think last time you picked one that I had on mine, so we've had
no, but even like if I had a different OneNote and your one, like both of us have a OneNote, I'm not sure if that's ever happened.
No, I think we've both kind of gone apples to kumquats here. So.
All right, yes. I have a bag of kumquats today for you. So there are no duplicates. So if my number one share here is Tom's number 1 or number 2 or number 4, he has to remove it from his rotation. So we've got backups. I have one backup. We'll see what happens.
If we duplicate twice, I'm dead.
Audience votes after each round. We'll do a quick poll. We always say no hitting below the belt, but as Tom always says,
I always hit below the belt because I'm the short one in this relationship.
There you go. And then we designate the winner. As you saw, we keep the stats. We lot it over each other for a month, and then it all starts over again. All right.
And with that,
let's get started. Round 1. So I'll kick things off. This is the big one. Tom, I sure hope this is too obvious. You couldn't. Do you have a guess?
No, but I'm holding my breath as to what this next slide's going to show.
Biggest news of the day of the last couple weeks.
Actually, you're okay because it came out in the last couple of weeks, and I've been in Egypt and Jordan for the last 3 weeks. So
There you
are
go.
okay.
Have you played with it though?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I needed to make sure that it was okay with our work thing, just because I wanted to do it with our mobile app and go from there.
And somebody this morning pointed out a caveat. I've got it on my last slide. So here, I'll try to go through this very quickly. It's definitely something I recommend. I've been playing with it. So there's been a bunch of news and stuff around it. It's the new Office app. They had a preview that filled up within like 5 minutes. And so I've been salivating for a couple months trying to get into this, and they hoping they'd expand it or just release the product, and they just released the product. And so essentially it is what you see here. It's kind of a rolled up Word, PowerPoint, Excel, OneDrive app, and I would also say Office Lens to some degree, all into one. So I've joked about it that I have this Microsoft app graveyard.
It just got some new tombstones there.
So I rolled these in, and look, I've got things that are within my app graveyard that they still are working apps. They're still supporting. They're not end of lifing. I don't know what's going on with the apps that it's kind of surfacing. People, I mean, it's a big question. Does it replace your standalone apps? I am working on doing, time is a little issue right now, but doing a comparison of each of the individual apps to make sure, what is the parity, what are the reasons for keeping, if you're using the Word app on your phone, like, don't stop using it if it has critical features that you need.
Right.
Basic answer there. But there's a great article that's out. There's a lot of content. A great article, though, by John Friedman, who runs the design team for Office, about how they came up with the design, because it's just a beautiful app and well built. And you can download the app. I'm an iOS person. You can go to the store, Android and iOS. If you're on some weird platform that's other than those two, then you'll have to wait. Like, it's not available if you still have a Windows phone for some reason. But anyway, so that's what's it. Now I want to show you some of the screenshots. So what are the primary features? So when you open up the app, you've got those 3 primary buttons to add notes. If you just need to capture information and want to store it in wherever you want to store it, kind of like sticky notes. Of course, snapping photos and videos, and we'll get to the next layer below that. And then review and edit documents and slides and some of the things that you can do there. And so here's kind of the next layer. The feature I'm using the most, because I take a lot of pictures, especially for this, like putting these presentations together. In fact, those are screenshots of my phone, and I use that transfer files capability, which is really slick. It's awesome.
I kind of like that one.
Yeah. So I'll come back. I'll show you each of those. And then what we've been hearing about, and you and I have talked about, we've shared in previous sessions, image to text and the image to table. It's finally available. And I'll show you some screenshots of that. And then the other thing, which is the coolest thing ever, sign a PDF. Somebody emails you a PDF, a contract, and you can right there go in and sign it with your finger on your smartphone with your touch screen. Sign it, save it as the PDF, push it right back to them. Save it to your OneDrive, to your SharePoint, wherever it is. But you can digitally sign documents with this app.
Just as a side note, though, Christian, whenever I sign a document using electronic format like this, my signature looks like a 2-year-old with a really big crayon.
Well, see, mine already looks like that, so I'm okay. But, well, that's another thing, is that if you have a digital signature and you have it encrypted and saved somewhere, I have that for official documents that I've used for years. And so you can have that actually image of your signature that you can add on to PDFs as well.
Cool.
So there's that more robust PDF capability. So some of the other stuff, of course, you can go through and search through your existing cloud locations, your SharePoint, OneDrive, as well as now Teams and Yammer. Since if you have an Office 365 groups enabled environment, then everything that you save, any document or file within Teams or Yammer, it's in SharePoint. So therefore you can link to it, have it through this app. It does duplicate some of the capability of the OneDrive app, and that's why I do want to do that parity comparison. But this is where it's powerful, is that you can go in and add all of those other cloud locations, and there's a long list of third-party apps and more being added all the time. So here's some of the other features. Very quickly roll through, show you. So you can search for content, find it, and review those visual cards. As you can see right there at the top, you can, or the list of the content, I've got things pinned. So it actually carries over things that you have pinned within each of those apps, carry over into the mobile app.
Nice.
So if you're pinning, so anyway, so you can pin new things, remove from recent, look at the properties, search across content and connected libraries. So there I did a search there, finding past versions of our productivity tips webinar, all the slides. Review and edit content in the mobile format, as well as looking at in that print view. So you can see there, you can click on the comments. It's fairly robust, and that's why I wanted, the fact that if there's a conversation going on in a co-edit of a Word doc, can I go participate in those chats? So I'm going to go through and look at all of the comparisons of those capabilities, but I believe it's all there, folks. Looking at the properties, editing the metadata that's associated with that content, you can do. And then go and share that out, send a copy, share it with individuals, with groups, push it out into Teams, into Yammer, wherever those conversations are happening. Here's quickly, this is what it looks like. I snapped a picture out of a magazine. As you can see, it wasn't even it's kind of a tweaked, because the fold in the picture, but took a picture of a graph, and it attempted to convert it. So with the graphics there. If you have a table that's just data in a table, it'll convert it into the Excel, and that's a fully editable Excel table below that. It's not just another useless picture. Here's another example. So I grabbed, as you can see from this magazine, the title of that. It kind of converts that down, formats that. Here's another example. For some reason, I'm missing that other picture, but it's the same thing where it's the title there, it formatted it, and then it converted that into text. And so this is where, if you see just a really, a bold stat or something that you want to capture, that's part of a graphic, and it'll OCR the text out of the image. Like it would grab the title there of Fortune magazine, or the subtitle below it, the artificial intelligence. So it's really, I guess I thought I clicked forward on that, where you can see that, where it would go and grab that information. So it's easy to snap pictures, move files between your PC and phone. All you do to transfer is I would click on that send. It opens up this little scanner. You hold it up to your screen. Once you float over, it grabs it, makes the connection. You confirm the connection to pair it with your PC. So it's all very secure. And then right there, you've got the browse. What do I want to share? And dig right in, find things that are on your phone, out in cloud locations, and then easily drag and drop images across. So Tom, I think it's, for the stuff that you and I are doing, and especially capturing images off of our mobile devices to share, it's awesome. Yeah. Just can't say enough good things about it. So
I was going to say, we had one really quick question. Somebody said, what about certificate signature?
Yeah, I don't know that I've not seen anything in the documentation that I've been reading through that it's covered. So that's one of those parity questions.
Okay.
So I think those third-party solutions, like, it's all still valid. You still want to have those out there. It's not displacing that. If you're using DocuSign or some others for that process, that's not what it's for. That is much more secure. This is a less formal. But sometimes you don't need to go have that activity. You just want to be able to go in, mark something up. Like you could, like a PDF, you could go in there with literally a red pen or a yellow highlighter, and edit a PDF document, and then save it back and share that out.
Okay.
So there's a lot that you could do. And that's it. Over to you, Tom.
I think you had one other thing that popped up there really quickly before I interjected you. Okay. Then let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm guessing you can now see my screen. If I quit moving things around.
I can,
okay.
Yes.
So I am not going to spend half as much time as Christian did because his was really big and really good.
It was a big one.
Yeah, it was, and I've got to say that is really cool. I'm looking forward to digging into that one. So in this particular case, this is a feature that came out probably about a month and a half ago in Microsoft Teams, and it's something to address the pain point that a lot of people had mentioned. And that's if you're living in Teams and you want to do an ad hoc meeting with whomever, the only way you could do it before is you had to go to your calendar, set up a new meeting, invite everybody to it, save it, wait for everybody to get the invite, so on and so forth. Well, now what they've done is they put a Meet Now feature within Teams, which means you can do ad hoc meetings just boom, and you're ready to go. So in order to make that happen for you, you go to the calendar icon that's on the left side of your screen, and you click on it, and then you'll see this Meet Now button up in the upper right corner of your screen. So when you click on that, it brings up, it actually comes up and it looks like what you would see on a normal meeting when you create one. But in this case, you can change your audio and video settings. You can change the name of the meeting if you want to. But once you've got everything ready to go, you go ahead and click Join Now. And once you click Join Now, you're in the meeting is going, and then you can use the upper right corner to, say, invite somebody or dial a number, depending on whether or not you have external access with call-in and stuff like that. But in a case like that, if I wanted to meet with, say, Sandra Mahan, I could do a real quick meeting now, invite her, she'd get the pop-up notice, she could join it, and you don't have all the overhead hassle of having to put a calendar entry out there, send out invites, blah, blah, blah. So this really does a good job of addressing that pain point. And if you're used to having meetings and you want to do those quick, hey, I just need to get you on the phone to discuss something, this is something you really should check out because it is a really nice way not to have to deal with your calendar all day long. That's mine.
So I was just going to, as you were going, and I thought I commented when I didn't hit it, but was the fact that, so that Meet Now is something that I've only been complaining about since Office 365 launched in 2006, back with MMS, because we had built something similar back in my E2 Open days, back in 2001, 2002, where we had this WebEx capability that it fully integrated in. So it's it's great to see that they've finally done this with streamline this process with Teams. And unfortunately, Tom, I don't know what we do with this. That's why I kept holding it open. We're at 50%, 50-50.
Each?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, all right. Well, over to you for to kick off round two.
Okay, that one just floors me, my friend.
And I think that's the first time that's ever happened.
I think it is, yeah. Like there's
84 votes, and each of us got 42.
There's
of course we got 42. Come on. That's the answer.
Oh, too funny, too funny. So for round two, we're leading off with Meeting Insights in Mobile Outlook. And this one is another thing that, again, if you live on your mobile device like Christian does, this is a really cool way to be able to get information prior to going into a meeting without you having to have 14 different applications open and running to see if there's anything you need to have available for a particular meeting. So what they have now in the mobile version of Outlook is something called Meeting Insights. So in this particular example here, and this is where I would have really loved to have that send files to computer. This would have been really nice instead of emailing all these screen prints to myself. So in this particular one, I've got a meeting I'm going to focus on here, which is an HR meeting for example purposes here. I go ahead and selected that meeting. And what happens is it comes up and it gives me all the associated information, which I would expect, how long it is, repeats, whether I accepted it. the link so I could join on Skype if I needed to, who's going to be part of this. Those are all very typical things. But if you continue scrolling down, now what you have at the bottom is the meeting insights section. And this is where it uses the machine learning portion of Office 365 to go out there and say, okay, for this meeting, what files or associated emails or any other things that you might have out there might be relevant to this meeting and might be something you want to look at or have available to you before you go into it. So in this particular case, there was a spreadsheet which was very relevant to what we were doing. So that was nice to have. There was another email related to us having this meeting that's slightly off to the right there. But basically, I could have been pretty much completely ready for this meeting just by looking at that calendar invite on my phone. And while personally I spend most of my day in front of a full-on computer, so this may not be something I do regularly, if I had been on PTO and had to call into meetings, this would have been a lifesaver. I could have found the stuff that I needed, and I could have sounded relatively intelligent for what we were talking about in the meeting, instead of me going, I really don't care because I don't want to have to, open up Excel and open up PowerPoint and open up all these various things. It's just right here. So I think this is something that you should look at if you're using mobile Outlook, and see if this doesn't give you a better shot at getting information about the meetings that you're about to go into. Christian, I'm sure you probably have seen this and like it a whole lot.
Yeah, I have. And part of it, I'm also waiting for some of the future capabilities where, the AI will kick in and start surfacing these things more readily. Mm-hmm. I know we're leading that direction with a lot of the Cortana, digital assistant capabilities, where could even highlight specific, call things out in content and get things prepped before you go into a meeting. In fact, I think it was, if you've not seen that video, Microsoft has done demos a couple times live on stage. And I think the last time was at Build, which is the developer conference last year, where they did, or 2 years ago, sorry, the future of meetings. So if you go search for future of meetings Microsoft, and you'll see this live kind of on stage, this, as they sit around, a lot of that capability. Part of it is the intelligence to be able to prep you before you even go into a meeting, and then during the meeting, and then after the meeting, flagging tasks that have been assigned and things that you need to know, so you can focus on adding value and not chasing, what was I asked to do, what was I supposed to do from that meeting.
Cool stuff.
Cool stuff. So here's something you've also probably heard a bit about out in the news: the learning pathways. And there's a great article that's out there by Stephen Rose from Microsoft. He's owned OneDrive, and of course the product team members, they own a lot of different things. But he wrote this great article called 5 Steps for Boosting Your Digital Transformation with Microsoft 365, in which he goes through and walks you through some of the recommended steps of taking advantage of all of these great resources and content that Microsoft has been producing. And there are, of course, third-party tools that are out there to be able to, in browser, in application, to be able to, surface training materials, support materials, things like that. You have products like Visual SP and Content Panda and things that are out there. But learning pathways is something that you can go. There's a bit of a development activity around it to deploy learning pathways on your environment. But what's great about this is that you can go and build a customized on-demand learning environment specifically for your organization. And so I just wanted to highlight that. If you've not looked into this or read much on it, you definitely want to go take a look. It's something it's more on the admin side of things, but end users can definitely go and request this kind of capability. And there's plenty of documentation that's out there. You don't have to provision this for SharePoint Online, because it's essentially a communication site. It's a template, it's a team site that's out there on your environment. You can also launch this as a standalone portal, as well as just go utilize on the Microsoft website the content. So there's 3 ways to get to this content. And the easiest one is just today, you can go and log in and access all of these content, just bookmark it as a resource. Or you can go in as an administrator and tailor that content for your organization based on industry, based on the types of roles to help. If you have a new Microsoft Teams deployment, for example, and you want to walk through your end users through that and guide them through that onboarding process and utilize all these rich resources, you can go and build this out. And my last slide in this, no, I've got one more after this. So it is built on the communication template, so it's SharePoint based. So it does need to be deployed, but here's an example of what it looks like in the modern site with all the content that's there. This is always the difficult thing for people that are in the learning development realm or just an administrator that's trying to onboard with a new deployment of your new intranet or a new product like Teams or Yammers. Getting people up to speed, getting them the content in their hands and generating all that content. Microsoft has made that easy by generating a lot of this basic content for that onboarding, for adoption and engagement. And they've also now provide this platform for you to go and serve up that content and to refine what that looks like. So as you see here, the image on the left is actually the website. So that's where you can go today and say, hey, I want to go learn about Planner or about Stream. Click on the icon, start digging into that content. On the right side, you see this onboarding pathway, hence the name pathway, for around each one of those technologies. And again, you can cater that to the needs of your organization.
Yeah, this is this is really cool. When I came back from the SharePoint conference last year that we spoke at, I was like, I'm going to dive into P&P here. So I went ahead and ran it on one of my clients. I'm like, this is pretty freaking awesome. Of course, we're in the middle of our migration, so there wasn't a whole lot that we could focus on to begin with. Plus, we have a third-party tool that we use for some of this same type of stuff. But now that we're done with the migration, this is one of those things I'd like to go back into and say, okay, here's what it gives us. Do we just want to tell people, hey, go out and look at the online version, or do we want to bring it in-house and do the customization that you talked to?
Right. Well, and there's a lot of ways that you can approach this, and I mentioned those third-party tools and
right.
and different. Your organization could have your own learning platform that you're delivering, and so that's the great thing about it is that the content is out there and available, so you can go and pull that into whatever system you have, or if you don't have something in place, Microsoft has this platform. Now, the benefits of the third-party solutions, just to throw it out there, like I've got a webinar where Asif Ramani from Visual SP is going to be speaking in another week, and like his platform, it's a great point, is that his can point to the Microsoft content as well as your own internal content, as well as libraries of content from other content creators and vendors that are out there. So it's way beyond what can be done with this solution. So it really just depends on what you're trying to do. Tom, you took that one, 56%.
Woo!
All right, I'm going to jump to round 3. You're able to still see my slides?
Yep.
Okay. So here's one. It's another on the admin side. So this crowd here may not like this one. But it's something that it's not brand spanking new, but it's something I've wanted to talk about for a while and have had requests into Microsoft for a while about this. The ability to go in there and drop in modules into the admin center so that I can customize my view of my environment and what I want to see. And so this is bare bones. Of course, most of the things that I do, it's funny, in Office 365 are not in my tenant. So I work with ISVs, I access other people's tenants. I have it's legitimate. So I'm not just saying I'm accessing other people. I just want to clarify that. I'm not just accessing other people's environments willy-nilly. I have permission to access. Just want to clarify that. Yeah. But with my environment, to be able to go in and if I'm interested in monitoring something very closely, some other aspect, I could do that with these modules. Now it's very simple to add in. Click up on the top, add card. You get this scrolling list of different cards that you can then drag and drop onto your page. So for example, if I want to see this active user report, I can drag it down. Of course, you can rearrange the layout of the slides. And so here's all the card options. So the overall service health, the standard cards, if I want to monitor what's happening in my Azure Active Directory, my DLP settings, what's happening, and any policies that I've created there. The role-based access. So if I'm monitoring, and that's actually an important thing, if you have given temporary access and developed roles and want to really monitor closely what's happening, to put that kind of front and center to be able to see what's happening. All your advanced threat protection, your active user reports, again, kind of a 101 topic, and then the training guides and domains, just being able to monitor all those things. Now, the open question for me is still, like, I would love to be able to go in and drop in third-party cards or build and customize my own. And that's something that still not available, still not possible out there. But there are some items out in user voice. And if you have specific needs, I always highly encourage you to provide that feedback back to Microsoft, because they won't work on it if they don't think anybody's asking for it.
That's a very good point. Yeah, and I can see where it would seem on the surface that being able to add in third-party modules or cards would be something that would be doable. So I could see that at some point that actually occurs. But
yeah, I think so too. I heard from one person at Microsoft that said that's not on a roadmap, and I don't know that we'd ever pursue that. And then the exact opposite response from somebody else, who I should point out was more senior, who said that, yeah, that's something that's been discussed. While not on the roadmap right now, there's been discussions around that. So yeah, again, it's one of those things where they may not be on the roadmap today, but if people keep asking for that.
So I'm going to go back to Outlook again, only not on my mobile phone. It will be Outlook on the browser. I've always been a client person for Outlook. I like what had been the full-featured, has everything that the browser doesn't have when it came to using Outlook. But I have to admit, web-based Outlook is getting really, really close, and in some cases is a little bit ahead of the client. So
it's super fast too.
Yeah. I'm starting to look a little bit more positively at that, especially when they came out with this particular feature, which is the My Day feature. And this My Day feature gives me the one thing that I probably rely upon most when I'm looking at my Outlook homepage, and that's the ability to see my inbox, my calendar, and my to-dos all basically on one screen. So in this particular case, if you're looking at your Outlook browser, up in the upper ribbon bar, I won't say in the far right-hand corner because it's more middle-ish, but you'll see a calendar and a check mark icon, basically for your calendar and your to-do information. So if you go ahead and click on that, what it does is it brings you up something that looks strangely familiar to my inbox or to my homepage on my Outlook, which is the calendar, which is showing me all the stuff that I have coming up today. And it gives me the calendar so I can, bop through and do, I would need to check on the 14th and the 15th and 16th. So that gives me that side panel that I'm used to seeing within Outlook. And then if I change over and click to do, it gives me all the tasks that I have that are sitting out there, in this case, not completed, which is why they're still out there. But this is one of these things that, to me, this makes Outlook look much like Outlook on the browser, makes it look a lot like the client Outlook. And for me, I could look at this and go, that's really close to being able to be fully usable in the format that I currently use it in. So if you want to check this one out, I highly advise you to go try Outlook in the browser and see if that My Day feature gives you this kind of functionality that perhaps was keeping you from wanting to use the browser-based version because you couldn't see everything in one nice consolidated screen without having to open multiple things out there. I don't know. Is this something that you use a lot on your side?
I'm not. So I'm doing that capability within the desktop. I've not yet made the move over to the mobile version. In fact, somebody I had a conversation with somebody last week who was telling me that they are now exclusively using the browser for Outlook and just don't even open up the app anymore. And I know there's people that do Teams that way. And it kind of goes to Paul's asking that question of, do you have to use a specific browser to see this option? But I think Microsoft has been doing a great job of, obviously they want to push people towards the new Chromium-based Edge browser, which is my primary now. I've stopped using Chrome as my primary. There's only a couple places where I still have to use that, but they are being very conscious of that and developing for Chrome and the Edge browser. I don't know if there are any issues with using iOS using that browser, but I don't use it, so I don't know. I've already moved on mentally, folks. So
okay.
All right.
Conceding this one to me right away, right?
Yeah, Tom, you got 77% there. Whatever. Okay.
Whatever.
You still see my round 4?
Yes.
All right. So so this feature is right off the top. It is obviously it plays my emails in a nice little voice. It has feminine and masculine voice options. I don't know yet if you're able to. I want to see a combination of what like Amazon's doing. I want to be able to purchase other guest voices. So the way that this works, this is
I'm guessing you want the Samuel L. Jackson version, right?
That's what I was thinking of. I know.
Yo, mother, answer this call right now.
Yeah. This is another one of those great AI-based capabilities. So it's available in the US. It's Outlook for iOS. It's not yet on Android. I don't believe. I've not seen it. Any other update there? There's an article out there that kind of walks through and answers a lot of questions from Microsoft, out in the Microsoft tech community, from Eugenie Burrage, I think. But it does what you think it does. Yes, it reads your emails too, but it's what it does, how it does it is a little bit smarter than that. So it does focus initially on your focused inbox. And it also then has a preference towards messages that are about events and meetings that are in your calendar. So it's smart enough to know that, hey, it's not just what's in my inbox from top to bottom, what's most relevant to what's happening in my calendar. That is fantastic. And it starts with a little summary. So I've used it a few times. It will tell you some information about what's in the inbox, what's coming up. It'll also let you know, hey, this message came through 35 minutes ago. The next one, this came through 2 hours ago, so that it can help you kind of gauge, well, here's how I should respond to these. It takes all the information within that header and all the metadata associated with it in the body of content, and then it draws out insights because of that. And so you can interrupt it and take action immediately, and it will then start up again based on where you left off. So how you're using that is that once you're in that hands-free mode, like I've got my little car, my mobile phone holder with the charger, it's right there on the right of my steering wheels as I'm driving, and so I automatically have, hold all my messages and all the other activity. It will recognize that it's in that Bluetooth mode, that hands-free mode. That's when you then can see the feature enabled. So it's not something that you're sitting there just using your phone and, hey, where's a button for me to start using this? I just want to look at my phone sitting on my desk. Well, hook up your headphones or through a Bluetooth speaker, and that's when you'll see then that option. When it recognizes that you're in a hands-free mode, especially my phone knows when I'm driving my car, and so will automatically give me this option. And it appears down at the bottom of your screen, and just hit play, and it goes. And the various commands that you can see, the list that I've provided, that you can, as I'm going through it, and I'll say Cortana skip, or Cortana pause, and if I'm ordering my fast food, which I don't really eat, but I'm just giving you an example. But anyway, it's a great little feature. It's one of those things where, is it groundbreaking? Is it just like a new product that's coming out? No, this is one of those incremental innovations that it's like, where has this been in my life for these activities, especially if you spend a lot of time commuting, like I did for so many years. This would have been just fantastic in those years, but I'm using it more and more when I'm out and about.
Very cool. Yeah, like I say, I need to go back and check, because I think I checked it right before I went on vacation, because I thought, wow, if this one's out there, I want to use this as a tip, which I'm glad I didn't, because I would have gotten bumped by it.
Yeah, so the question would be, first, whether it's, there's a whole longer discussion about, what's actually available on my tenant today.
Right.
And making it easier to be able to find what features that Microsoft has been out there promoting, of whether it's even there yet.
Exactly.
Versus you just have to constantly look back, search, and find, oh, hey, it finally hit my tenant. Yeah. So that's a big complaint.
Okay. So this tip involves Microsoft Forms. If you're not used to or haven't heard of it, or you're not quite sure what Microsoft Forms is, it's a survey tool that is actually pretty cool. I mean, it's like right up there with ease of use being like SurveyMonkey and stuff like that. You can put together really cool surveys with a lot of logic in it and the whole bit, and push them out to both internal, external sources, the whole 9 yards. One of the things that people wanted to have is the option to have a question that would give the recipient, or give the person answering it, the ability to upload a file. And to date, that had not been done, where now you can have a file upload question, which gives you some really cool possibilities to take this beyond maybe just a survey tool, and actually almost make it a bit of a data collection tool. So in this particular case, I went ahead and set up a new question using the file upload feature. It tells me that a new folder will be created in OneDrive for me, and that's where the files are going to be uploaded when I do this. So once I have the question out there, I can put my description out there. I can say how many files can they upload, one or more, how big the file size limits are, again, completely up to you and your environment. And then here I've got a test version of it. So I went ahead, put it out there, clicked on the upload file. It came up with the typical Windows File Explorer, select your file. And then when I hit submit, it went ahead and told me, hey, it's been submitted. Here was the file that I uploaded. And then what's nice is if I go out into OneDrive, I'll see here in Microsoft Forms folder that created out there for this particular survey that I called Testing the Upload Question. And this particular question, it's gathering all the files that I have. So from a perspective of just answering questions, yes, no, did you like, whatever, this may not come into play. But if you kind of switch your mindset a little bit and you say, what if my survey tool is actually a way to collect pictures or ways to collect documents that are relevant to whatever the survey is about? Now this really becomes like a front-end data collection tool instead of just a survey. And so I really like this question. If you are using Forms and you've thought about, gee, it'd be nice if I could get a file submitted with this, now you can. So
And of
And I made
course,
that
we
really quick
do a
because
lot
we're
of other
trying to
things like document, doing document level security and other things you can
exactly.
do with it. And so, yeah,
Yeah,
so you can do this in a very secure way as well.
very cool.
All right, yeah, I'm going to just launch the poll. So the play my emails in Outlook versus using the new file upload question in Forms. I'm a big Forms fan.
Yeah, I really do like that.
Yeah, we got off kilter here of the in the order, but we'll let you close out round 5 and.
Okay. Yeah, I thought something looked odd. I thought, shouldn't I be stopping sharing? But I just took it over.
Yeah, that's all. It's all good. All right, Tom, you took that one at 52%.
Ooh, yay me.
Woohoo! All right.
Okay, last one. Renaming URLs on a SharePoint Online site. Oh my God, as a SharePoint developer, I hated when I would get the questions from people going, I need to change the URL of this site. I'm like, can't do that. It was just not possible unless you wanted to recreate the site, and it just was a pain in the butt. And I tell people we can rename the site, just can't rename the URL. Well, guess what? Now you can, and it's pretty easy. It's something that you have to have admin access to do. But what you do is you go out to your admin console where I'm looking at like the active sites out here. And in this example, I've got a site that I left an F out of the site name and in the URL itself. And I would like to fix that to where it should actually be Duff site with 2 Fs. So I go ahead, look at the properties here on the right-hand side, and you'll see next to the URL, there's now an edit button or an edit link there. And when you click that edit link, it's basically going to give you the option to put a new name out there. So in this particular case, it's looking at the DUF site version of it. And then what I can do is I can change it, and it goes out there much like when you're creating a new site, and it says, hey, is that address still available? In this case, Duff site was, so I could click save. What's a really nice touch is it also asks you if you want to rename the site while you're also redoing the URL. In this case, it's like, yeah, I need to fix the name too. So I'll go ahead and fix it here. It tells me the name's available. I click save. And in a fairly short period of time, depending on how big your site is, this takes place. Now, there are a number of caveats that you might expect. You have to talk about, so what's happening to permissions while this is being renamed? In a case like that, I think it locks people out until the renaming function is finished, so you don't want to do it in the middle of the day. It does allow for redirects. So if I were to click on a link to content in the prior named version of the site, it would automatically push you to the new version in the newly named version of the site. In my mind, I'm like, well, what if I then go rename this one? Does it do a redirect to the middle redirect to the middle? I don't know the answers to those, and I'm not sure probably anybody does right now. But there's just a whole lot of stuff. What happens to the recycle bin? If you want to have stuff in your recycle bin out there that you want to look back at some point in time, if you rename a site, cycle bin goes away. So you need to think about that. What happens to your Power Apps flows? I strongly recommend that you take a look at this article by Ms. Palmer. She did a really good job in going through and talking about the pros and the cons and some of the caveats and stuff like that. Bottom line, though, is you no longer have to say, sorry, can't change a URL. You actually can change URLs now. And that we've already done that a couple times. And people are like, oh my God, this changes everything. So really happy to see this change out there.
There's a reason why it took so long for this capability that people have been asking for years.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that they had to get right. So
right. Exactly. Sharing stream videos directly into Microsoft Teams. So this is something you probably saw this update if you're an active. You guys a stream org, Tom? Yeah. So it's something that you have seen. More and more people are recognizing the value of, and there's just so many cool features. So I won't go into all of those things, but you can share directly from the Stream app to Teams. So let me just walk you through that. I've got less text and more just little screenshots here. So first, of course, is you go in, create the video, and I captured a video, uploaded it, and just wanted to share that so you can see like the type of content that I'm focused on these days, as I'm out there as I consider myself a content creator. You know? So I've got that. You see it there in my content in the Stream app. I'm uploading that. Of course, I can share it out in a number of different ways there, edit it, add it to my watch list, whatever you want to do right there within Stream, depending on how you're leveraging Stream. Here, so I've gone in, I can send it to an individual. I've got multiple options for sending that to people. So I scroll to the right of those apps. You see the Gmail app, and to the right of that, and I go select Teams. And so then you get this Teams dialogue. Now, of course, which team am I sending it to? Which channel within that team? And so I go in and I search through that. So I go through it identifies right off the bat, every chat that I'm a member of that I have access to. And so I go up into the two and I start typing in where I want that to go. And so I have my productivity schmonactivity team. Yeah, it's a serious project, Tom. I wouldn't giggle at that.
I'm sorry.
Serious business happening there.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, so I have each of the different channels that are within that team. So really easy to find where I want to locate that. And it puts it in the two. I hit send. And there it is. Now I'm still looking at through my mobile device. It looks exactly the same over within the Teams, the desktop app, or the Teams. It's just part of that threaded discussion. And so right there, I can CC people. I can start a conversation around that video. And then my last one, and you'll see the actual video. It's my, I love it too, is that it automatically does the transcription. So you already see it. I'm talking to my dog Taco, and I'm asking him, "Hey Taco, what's going on?" And I was trying to get him to get his ears to perk up in the video. But what's great about this is that, again, I have the ability to right there in real time capture that video and add it into Teams. So if I'm capturing from a recording of a meeting or I'm walking around, last time I did this, I was doing it for a client. I was walking around the expo hall at an event and talked to a couple of people. And rather than taking notes, I wanted to capture what was being discussed in their question from my client. And so did this interview and saved it up and published it over to that chat in Teams, and it automatically did the transcription. Nice. So it was just awesome to do that on the fly with my mobile device. Didn't have to do anything else special other than have a good Wi-Fi connection and wait for that thing to upload.
Very cool.
That's it. It's a really slick little feature if you're a Stream user and if you're like me and increasingly using your mobile device.
Very cool.
So with that, I'm going to launch the last round of voting here. And that question everybody's asking, will Christian finally win a single round? Maybe. Who knows? So we've got the tied round, and Tom's got the event. He won 3. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to the stat for number of rounds won. It's going to be like 48-46-1.
I know. I'm excited about that. Yeah. Will it ever happen again? That was pretty cool, though. Yeah. Actually won something. 51-49. It was close.
Really? Now, I was thinking that one was going to be my killer one that I would, be the cleanup hitter, but shows you how much I know.
It's all right. Well, that's it. The overall winner, Tom, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if you'd like to join us the next month, so we've got it, the March Madness. Again, I came up with that name all by myself. I don't know where I get these things.
Like I say, it was pure brilliance on your part.
I know. I've got the trademark request going in. I'm going to fill out the paperwork today.
Good luck with that.
That's happening Tuesday, March 24th. So join us at the same time. And of course, this entire session, the recording, will push out to YouTube, and we'll have the blog post and links to each of the individual tips, as well as our slides. All of that, the blog post should be up later this afternoon, as soon as I get the video processed. And Tom, thanks a lot for your time.
Sounds great. Thanks everyone for joining us and allowing us to have fun.
And I guess I should say, finally, take a look at our blogs. Yeah,
Yes.
we have blogs. So Tom will blog about his shares. I've been doing, I don't know if you've noticed, Tom, I've been going and expanding on most of these topics.
I have seen that, and I'm thinking about doing that now that I've got a lot of the stuff that was on my plate off my plate. So.
Yeah, and it's nice, especially when you've got a little feedback and some of this back and forth conversation. We're sharing aspects, and I'll go in and kind of expand on some of the topics. And so anyway, it's kind of the long form blog versions of each of these tips out on our blogs. Thanks a lot.
With that, everybody, have a good week.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye, all.